Kia ora, hello, I'm Philip Duncan. It is Wednesday, June the 18th. Thank you for joining me. Well, we're heading into a long weekend, and so everyone's asking about the weather, so let's get into it. At the moment, high pressure in control of New Zealand, not a lot of drama going on, bit of fog, mist patches this morning, and maybe a couple of isolated showers, but most of the cloud is low level stuff. That's why it's kind of grey and smudgy. Out to sea, that's where we've got the bigger clouds, the higher tops on them, that's why you can see the colour, and we've got a few thunderstorms as well. Nothing much though for New Zealand to worry about. So dry for most places today. There's still a bit of a southerly out here to the east, couple of showers in there, and we'll see a couple more showers moving in to the western sides as this new low pressure zone moves in towards us. So this evening, looks like this. High pressure still smack bang over most of the country, pretty much the North Island. The South Island just starting to sort of move off as that low moves closer. It's not a major low, as you can see in the big picture here, it's quite small, but it does have those downpours, maybe a couple of thunderstorms out at sea as you transition from the mild northerly winds. They're not over New Zealand, so don't complain, it's not mild here, but mild winds are out at sea. That's mixing with the sou'westers, and that's why we're seeing a little bit of instability out there. But there's another big high close behind it. So by noon Thursday, here's the setup. So we've got polar air still stuck around the southern part of the South Island. It's going to be around pretty much for the whole month. We're just in that setup with these highs over Australia, dredging up colder airflows into the South Island in particular, and also eastern New Zealand up to about East Cape. We're seeing that off and on for the next few weeks ahead. But Thursday, tomorrow, nor'westers are blowing through. So it will be warmer tomorrow, not as cold overnight tonight. And those nor'westers will be strong in exposed places, rain on the west coast, and that will turn to snow flurries higher up into the mountains and ranges. Driest weather in the east and northeast of the North Island, and we'll only see a few showers coming into the very top, Auckland, Waikato, Northland, Coromandel Peninsula and Bay of Plenty later into the day or even nighttime. So below zero frost risk. Now the reason why it's both frost and below zero is because you don't always get a frost when it's below zero. If it's windy, or if it's raining, or snowing it would be. So that's the situation that you're seeing here. Tomorrow morning, Thursday morning, around the South Island, there will be frosts in sheltered areas, but that wind is picking up. And so some of the purple you see here, that's below zero with rain showers, or snow flurries, I should say, falling through the mountains and ranges. Frosty conditions for the central part of the North Island, and that all shrinks on Friday. Again, cold stuff, snow flurries in the mountains, frosty weather not as likely because it's more unsettled. And this is why. Here is lunchtime Friday. So this is where you're seeing that below zero. So there's a sou'wester blowing through. Some areas that might be a bit more westerly or southerly, depending on the mountains, and more of a southerly flow properly coming into Southland and Stewart Island, and then that moves into Otago during the day. So it's a cold Friday, a cold Matariki if you're in the South Island. North Islanders, westerlies blowing through, the usual kind of stuff, showers on the western side, and some early morning showers or patchy rain as that moves over the northern and eastern parts of the North Island, but certainly a colder change coming through. So if you want to go stargazing, it may be a little tricky in some areas, but this will help you. You can either find it on our free WeatherWatch app or go to ruralweather.co.nz. What you're looking for is trends. And when you see the trends, fog and cloud, and then you can just highlight the day. So this example here on Auckland, 7 o'clock in the evening, 25% cloud cover. So that's what we look for. And also you can see the distance there, visibility. So hopefully that's helpful to you. You can get it, like I say, in trends on our app or at ruralweather.co.nz. Saturday is the winter solstice. It's a precise moment in time, 2:41 p.m. this year. And basically it means we're halfway into the solar winter, the 3 months of the year with the least amount of available sunlight. So we're into the dark part now. But if you want a silver lining, it means that by Monday of next week, the days are starting to get longer again, maybe only by a second or two that you won't notice. But psychologically, you can tell yourself the days are getting longer once we get into next week. Cold stuff on Saturday, not very windy in most areas, but there is a bit of a southwesterly breeze at the top of New Zealand and a southerly coming in sort of from Christchurch to the lower part of the North Island. A few showers around in that kind of wintry southerly, but it's still mostly dry. Frosty weather returns as high pressure expands back and kind of locks in that cold. But you can see the polar air, the blue line, comes right up to Waikato and Bay of Plenty. By noon Sunday, it gets pushed eastwards as the next westerly blows through. High pressure increases in the North Island. That means it gets windier as you go into the South Island due to this storm that's well south of the country. So we've got the squash zone in here. So windier westerlies, that lifts the temperatures up. Frosts, again, don't look likely, but there might be a little bit of snow on the tops of the mountains and ranges. Sunniest weather will be in the east of the North Island, but some parts of the South Island as well are looking pretty sunny. Nelson, Marlborough, for example, as we go into Sunday. So back to work next week for many people. High pressure is still on the edge of New Zealand, kind of flirting with us. We've got a few showers, southwesters for the top of the country. A cold front here just coming into the lower North Island. That'll bring in a bit of a cooler change for some of you following that slightly milder Sunday. But you can see there's not a lot really going on. There's not a lot of drama in the forecast, considering we now are properly going into winter. We're still not seeing anything too major. Not that I'm wanting it or wishing it, but some of you want that for the snow, for the ski fields. And we do see a little bit around, but it's just not as major as you might expect. And as we go through to Tuesday, our final map here shows high pressure, smack bang over the country, frosty weather in many inland areas. But we're also seeing the nor'wester return to Southland and Otago, maybe even South Canterbury, which means the temperature goes up again and that polar air gets pushed back down where it should be. Although if you look at Australia, there is the next cold front coming into South Australia, Victoria and Tasmania. So there's a fair bit of energy around, but I got to say, it's pretty well contained at the moment. We're not really seeing too much in the way of severe weather. The South Island's definitely colder at the moment, and it looks that way pretty much for the rest of June. A couple of warmer days in the mix, but yeah, it's definitely colder for the South Island and eastern parts of New Zealand. But we do see more high pressure coming through as we go into next week. And that's all from me for today. I'll see you again tomorrow, Thursday, as we take a closer look at the long weekend weather for Matariki.